up, headbangers? This is Max Cavalera. Cavalera Conspiracy, Soulfly, Killer BQ. Go ahead and die. Sepultura. Stay brutal.
Phantasm.
Maximum terror.
That's your target audience, baby!
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
Phantasm.
Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal!
Phantasm.
Hey, this is Dr. Vincent West, medical doctor, and I've got to give a big intro for this guest. So, when I was a kid, I was watching Headbangers Ball one night, and I saw a video from a band called Sepultura, and the video was for Inner Self. The next day, I skipped out on church with my parents, went and bought the cassette at a record bar, and I've been a fan ever since. My next guest has been not only is he a founder of Sepultura, he's another amazing band, Soulfly, Nail Bomb, the list goes on and on and on. He is a fucking amazing musician. He's one of my heroes, and I'm so excited to have Max Cavalera join me today to chat. Max, how are you doing?
Great, man. I'm sorry for ruining your life early on.
No, thank you for doing that early on. I really appreciate it.
Man, it's I love hearing stories like that, man. It's so cool. Because metal is a lifelong thing, right? It's not something that, oh yeah, I like metal last summer and I don't like it anymore. Like, no, that does not exist. It's a lifelong commitment. And when I hear stories like yours, like Inner Self was the gateway, it was your gateway drug into metal. That's great.
Yeah. Especially to you guys. Like, I was listening to other stuff, but man, what I loved about Sepultura was, especially Beneath the Remains and Arise. I mean, I love Chaos AD too, but those records specifically, it was like thrash, but it was also like death metal. It was like, I think you guys were doing something really special. I always have, and I'm so excited that you're going to be, you've been out touring it, but you're going to be doing a whole bunch of more dates with your brother, and it's so fucking cool. You guys are going to be playing, it looks like tracks off Beneath the Remains and Arise.
Yeah, so that's those are like amazing records that once we did the first run of tour of those, I knew we're gonna need to do more. It was the people just pretty much lost their minds on every show. I felt pretty much on an every night basis, I felt like an MMA fighter after the shows. Like, I'm totally I'm done, right? I'm exhausted, man. But it's a great feeling, It's like because those records are so full of energy and anger and passion. There's so much going on those records that a celebration, the way we do it, we celebrate them. It's really paying tribute to an era, and I think that people know that, they feel that, and it connects all of us, man, because a lot of people like you discover us through those records, and some of them never got a chance to see the original Sepultura. Some of them did, but it's a chance to see it again. And I think the way we process those songs, the way we play them live now, it's some of the best I've felt playing those songs in my whole career. And it's great having Mike playing bass and having Daniel playing guitars, and my brother is killing on the drums right now. And it's just, I knew we were going to have to do a second run. Maybe we even need to do a third run next year.
Nice.
I don't know. It's like, it's too good to not do it. It's like I need that in my life. The fans need it. It's like, let's do it, man. It's a cool thing.
Is it now for your brother? Was when you talked about doing this, was he on board immediately? Was he all about it too?
he was actually the one that suggested that we do the 2 records together.
Oh, okay.
First, I thought it was crazy, but then the more I think about it, the more it made sense, because especially those 2 records, I think you can make the argument that we can probably play the first EP, Bestial Devastation, and Morbid Visions together as well. They are very similar.
Yes.
But Arise and Beneath the Remains, they are completely cut from the same cloth. You know, really. They could have been released as a double record. It would have been great. I think there's a little bit more. You feel a little bit of growth when you listen to Arise, especially on the songwriting. I think we became a bit better songwriters by the time we hit Arise. But the energy, the anger, the power, it's amazing on both. And I think Beneath the Remains it's more raw than Arise. That's one of those really raw records that once you hear, you can even feel the desperation on my vocals. Like I sound like a desperate man,
dude. Because
I was, I
changed my life.
It was like make it or break it kind of record. But yeah, it was his idea, and I know he was on board from the beginning. Yeah, he loves it. He loved that stuff too, and I was ready to do it because I'm in a stage of my life where I don't want to waste time on anything that doesn't make me feel complete,
Sure.
And this is one of those things, man. It's one of those things that I not only I'm allowed to be part of that, I should be part. I should celebrate those records. I was involved in those records.
Yes.
And I know I don't feel anything strange about doing what we do. It's great. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us, and it doesn't really messes with anything. In fact, the opposite. It gives other projects motivation. I think the new Soulfly record is totally influenced by those tours. That's why the new Soulfly record is so really angry and heavy and really a return to my metal roots. And it's probably a direct result from touring those records that eventually led into me making a record like Totem.
Yeah, and Totem is such a really cool record. I felt like as a fan, when you put the Enslaved album out, man, that's a nasty record. That's a nasty Soulfly record, man. You sound really pissed on that album.
Yeah, I've been.
I love it. I love it. I was like, because there's sparkles in there, Like I would be like, oh, this has a little Sepultura stuff going on, like old school. But yeah. I wanted to ask you, to go back to Arise, and did you like working with Scott Burns?
Yeah, man. Me and Scott, we built this really unique relationship. I got to spend more time with Scott than any of the other guys in the band did, because I ended up not finishing the vocals on Beneath the Remains, and I ended up had to fly to Tampa, and I spent about 2 weeks in Scott's house in Tampa, and I finished the vocals there, and we created this really cool bond. Scott was great because Scott was a punk rocker, man, at heart. His favorite stuff is Black Flag and Dead Kennedys, and he would really a lot of times talk to me about that, about how for him Sepultura always had a punk edge attitude to our shit, and he loved that about us. He said that's so cool that you guys have that. You guys are a metal band. You mix death metal and thrash metal, but you have that attitude. You have that punk attitude.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love it. That sometimes some metal bands don't have it. So I create a great bond. I love recording. I really enjoy recording with producers. Honestly, like I get along with them. I think they get the most out of me. This new record, Totem, I got to work with Arthur Risk, and he's an amazing new producer.
Nice.
One of his coolest things he's done is the Power Trip record. Nightmare Logic.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite records of the last 20 years.
Nice.
And it was great. You know, I love all the producers. I create a bond with them. We go to war on studio, and we try to get the best stuff we can get out of our situations. And the producer help. They really help on that. Get stuff out of you that normally doesn't come out.
Do you is there a producer that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's no one in mind right now I could tell you, but there's some guys actually that I even worked before that I would like to do. I imagine doing a Soulfly record with them, like Andy Wallace that did.
Oh yeah.
He was pure magic on that record, and there's a lot of great producers. There's not a shortage of them. I just kind of do one at a time. I really wanted to work with Arthur on Totem. It was like one of my own. To me, he's an icon of the underground movement. He knows all the underground metal, and
nice.
He's a magician. Truly, he's a wizard in the studio more than anything else. The stuff he does it blows my mind. It's crazy, and it was a lot of fun creating Totem with him because he helped me. Actually, he played guitar on the record. He plays a lot of songs.
Oh, nice.
So we spent a lot of time sitting down in the studio and going over. Song structures and bridges and solos, and he helped me create Totem for sure. It was a great opportunity to do something with a great guy. And I think the result is Totem, which is a record that a lot of people I think wanted me to make this record. I think a lot of fans were feeling like itching, like, oh, if Max could just come back to that form, to that. That Beneath the Remains, schizophrenia era, Max Cavalera is what we want to hear. It's kind of like how sometimes you realize you can even make like a sports analogy about it. Like, a player that had a great season in 2015, and then some of the other season wasn't as good, and you're hoping that player will go back to that 2015 season in 2020,
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes it does. Sometimes they do that, and it's amazing. It's like a great feeling. So I kind of just realized I'm really good at this, and why should I try to do something else fancy and be something I'm not? It's not me. Just do what you're really good at, it, man. I'm really good at these short songs and. Has that spirit of the era, especially on Totem, and I went for it, man. And it's like totally inspired by not only Sepultura stuff, but the stuff around that era. A lot of Entombed and Dismember and Carcass and Morbid Angel.
Nice.
Like a lot of those classic bands come to mind when I was making Totem. And it's great. I love that. It was like realization of what you do best sometimes is what you want is what the fans wanted, and everybody wins in the end.
Absolutely. We all won with Totem. It's killer, man. It's so good. And are you working on anything else right now? A Cavalera Conspiracy or Kill or Be Killed? Or?
So, yeah, I'm starting working with my son again. We're going to create a new Go Ahead and Die. We want to make a second record that, pretty much makes the first one feels like pop music.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we at the moment. Like, we listened to the first one, we're like, oh, okay, we've done that. So, all right, let's get really grunt on this one. Let's go, let's sharpen the tools, sharpen the spears, and go for the kill shot.
Awesome.
And that's gonna be fun, man. It's like pure caveman, extreme metal giving zero fucks about what anybody thinks.
Right.
Know?
Exactly.
It's one of the most liberating forms of metal that you can play. Sometimes it's that. Like, we don't want the label and explanation. We don't need to write anything for anyone, for the radio, for just ourselves. And we're just going to go for the jugular on this one. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm working with my son a lot.
That's awesome.
Really creating a really great bond that I started with on the first one with him. He's my to-go guy for anything heavy and extreme. He knows everything, and it's really so cool to create this Go Ahead and Die projects with him. It's like it takes me back to being a kid again. When I'm around him playing music, I feel like I'm 14 years old playing with my best friend.
That's awesome. That's great. And as far as the stuff with your brother, it looks like you guys are going on a big run starting on the 28th all the way to the 29th of October, starting on September 28th all the way to the 29th of October.
I know we should have put 2 more days and do a Halloween show.
Yeah.
I don't know that nobody thought of that. I'm gonna be mad at somebody.
That's fine. As far as I wanted to ask you, I saw you guys. This will date me, how long I've been a fan, but I remember seeing you guys on a Rise open for Ozzy.
Yeah.
And Alice in Chains was on the bill too, and I remember going and just being blown away. Not that Alice in Chains and Ozzy weren't great, but you guys really destroyed it. And it was so cool seeing you guys like in a big arena. And I remember just thinking, God, because every track on a Rise is so good. But I loved you had like the backdrop and all the stuff from the album artwork, and even it looked like stuff on the I was kind of far away, but stuff on the stage where it was like props of like stuff from the record, and I just remember thinking it was the coolest thing in the world I'd ever seen.
Yeah, those tours were funny because I never really entirely enjoy playing those shows that much because it was tough, right? Because a lot of, especially the front row fans, were all biker guys that just want to see Ozzy.
Sure.
And they're like flipping me the bird and throwing beers at me, and that's making me more mad. I'm getting more pissed off because of that. That's why we play even faster on those shows. But there's a real funny story about that era that actually Zakk Wylde told me. That was actually him and Ozzy on the side of the stage watching Sepultura, and he looks at Zakk and he goes, he tells Zakk, they say that they are influenced by me and Black Sabbath, but I don't hear in the music, And Zakk goes, yeah, they worship you, man, they love Black Sabbath. And then Ozzy turns around and look at Zakk and goes, I'm not responsible for any of these, am I? And I always loved that. I was like, you're directly responsible for this, Ozzy. It's all your fault, man.
I just love it.
It was just really cool. It was a big exposure for us. It was like bigger places. But I think if you wanted to really experience the raw power, that was back in the small underground shows.
Oh, I remember seeing you with Ministry and Helmet.
Yeah, that's a little smaller, and that was a great tour. That was Chaos AD tour.
God, I mean, man, you guys were always so good.
A big part of our career,
You guys were always so good. I mean, I remember seeing you with Pantera. I remember seeing you with. I'm wanting to say. I think the Pantera show, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong with this. It was either Typo Negative or Biohazard. I don't remember.
Yeah. That's actually a funny. There's a funny quote from my son, actually, Zion, on the new Decibel that came out. They put me on the cover with about Totem and all that.
Nice.
But they asked Zion about how it was growing up, with a father like me, and Zion said something really funny. It was cool. It was like, yeah, my dad was always talking to like cool people like Ozzy, and one time even he was talking to this crazy looking motherfucker. I didn't know who he was, It turns out it was Dimebag. He had a pink beard. And the sign goes, he looked like a badass. There was a badass talking to my dad, you know. The badass was Dimebag, you know, by the way.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, man. We made great friends through the years. And we're still doing, man. That's what's cool. Like, you know, I'm one of those guys that I look more as a life at what's coming more than what's happened already.
Sure.
That stuff is great, and it happened, and I feel amazing about it. But to me, is what's in front of you that's exciting. You know, the new adventures you're gonna make, the new badasses you're gonna meet on the road, and that's like what keeps me moving and excited for all the future projects.
Well, Totem is a killer record, and I love that you're out touring with your brother. I think it's fucking amazing playing Beneath the Remains in a Roz. And yeah, man, maybe do a Halloween show. If not, maybe do a third leg. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think we got all those. Hopefully, gonna get those planned. But I know that we're gonna do a bit of touring for Totem next year. There's gonna be a U.S. tour. European tour, some festivals. I know that we go to Australia in December.
Nice.
We're gonna play a festival with the Deftones. That
Awesome.
should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just keep busy. I'm finishing this record here in Arizona here with Go Ahead and Die, and look forward for that for next year as well. Never stops, man. You know, it's great. That's the cool thing. Like, no matter how old I get more drawn into metal. I get more into. I'm growing up complete opposite of a normal person. Instead of mellowing out, I don't mellow out. I get brutal as I get older. I get more brutal, which is great. I love that.
I do too, man. I love it, man. I love everything. I've been a fan for so long, man. It's an honor to have you on today. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this while you're recording and stuff. Guys listening, go see Max and his brother. They're touring. I guess you've got some Soulfly stuff. I guess next year?
Yeah. So we're gonna have a early tour. I think it starts February, I believe.
Awesome.
We're gonna post all those dates up in all the socials.
Awesome.
Yeah, people that see the dates of the Cavalera tour, come out, man. You want to be part of something? You want to jump on a time machine and go get back to 1989 for a night? It's ready for you. You know.
Awesome.
Fasten your seatbelts and prepare for lift off. It's gonna be awesome.
Max, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today, dude. I'm a huge fan, and it means a lot. Thank you so much for this.
No problem, man. I hope I'll see you on tour, brother.
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
Phantasm.